let's speak a little further on that collaboration that labor requires. You know, that particular report that you cited about the ICPC and the report they came up with, I remember that when that came out at the time, there was a lot of hue and cry from different states, and then they said no, that they're judiciously using their funds, and when some dailies published states that had challenges, they also were up in arms saying no, that couldn't have been correct. And I know that the Minister of Finance, she also said that they gave some guidelines, requirements that those states needed to fulfill if they needed to get an additional tranche released to them. But in spite of all of those, I'm just wondering, do you think that, well, both the Minister of Finance, the ICPC, and perhaps Labour should continue in that light and say, well, we will continue to do this search and we will publish states that do have challenges, and either about paying the direct workers in the states and or local government workers. I say that because, you know, they always make this, they try to separate, saying, no, local government workers, funds, the components from the bailout funds go straight to local government, and that's not under our purview. How should we proceed with that?
Well, I think that that's an important issue that needs to be clarified because, you see, local government workers and teachers, because they are paid under the local government arrangement, seem to be at a worst position in a number of these states, where in some cases they are owed more than a year's salary. I think that what needs to be understood is that those bailouts, when they were given, they were meant to cover not just state civil servants, but including local government workers and teachers, as well as pensioners. And I think that what needs to be done is, at the point of agreement or releases of such funds, the criteria and the specificities of what all those that are included would need to be very clearly stated. And yes, cooperation, the condition is that, for instance, the Honorable Minister for Finance had mentioned at that time, if they were diligently followed, some of these abuses would not be at the level that they have occurred. I think that we need to learn from the experiences of the non-compliance in the past to then put in place what is a more robust mechanism, and one that must include the payment both to local government employees, teachers, pensioners, and workers at the state public service level. I think that that is what needs to be done. Some discussion and some further work needs to be done in cooperation between the federal and the states in order to get this matter resolved, so that the backlogs can be cleared and states can then be admonished, starting from a clean sheet as to how they manage their affairs going forward.
What about when states say, well, we received these funds, but we can't exactly pay everyone, so what we suggest is, can we pay maybe half so that it goes around everybody, or we lay off some people? Because we heard some of those states, while they're discussing with workers, they throw up those kind of arguments. Do you think in any way that should be considered, or no, it's about proper management of these funds and they really and truly can pay every worker, including local governments?
No, we believe that it is actually the issue of management, and that they can be paid, the resources are around sufficient to actually pay all the workers. But in saying all the workers, we mean the genuine workers. And these are parts of the things that must be done. I had mentioned earlier that some of the wage bills being quoted clearly seem to be padded, and that we need to clean out the system and be sure what are the genuine ones. Some of the states, of course, have initiated what they call verification and all that. But rather than do open, transparent process that will actually lead to the determination of genuine workers. Some of the states have merely used this as an instrument, or excuse for not coming to grips with the payment. But if we do a transparent verification process and certification, so that we know who are workers that are actually on the wage bill, and we know that what is claimed as part of the wage bill is genuine, I'm sure that some of the figures can be brought down drastically, in which case they would become sustainable.
So how do we progress from here? Because there are a lot of concerns. Even the president himself is concerned how families are able to feed themselves and even pay school fees, especially now that the economy is just getting out of recession. Before now it was in recession, so things are really tough. And Labour, you have said that, okay, we don't want that option where 50% of the balance will be paid to the states. Now, don't you think that that will, in a way, hurt the families that actually need these monies at this point in time when parents have to pay school fees, families have to feed?
Clearly, Mr. President's statement, I think, was clearly well received, because the president knows from his statement what workers are going through. And when he said, how can we sleep when people are going through such circumstances? It actually demonstrates his own concern, and we appreciate that tremendously. And we do hope that that concern would be the first major step as a catalyst to taking concrete steps to ensure that this is resolved once and for all. The issue as to whether the 50% should be paid or not, I think it's a matter of what needs to be done before it is paid. Because if you release it just like the others, it is likely to go the route of the others. And that is the point that we are making. Let us work, let the government put in place a very, a concrete program and a set of conditions as to how the utilization will be done before such payment is made. And it is only then that it will actually help to address the problem. And that is the point we are making. We are not saying forever that, oh, you will not pay this. But we're saying that you must put in place and ensure that this money will be utilized properly. And the best way to do that is to start from what was released in the past by getting each state government to show how it was utilized. And those state governments that had utilized correctly and appropriately, then
we need to anchor at this
have their own releases made.
All right, then we get your point. Dr. Peter Ozonson is the General Secretary of Nigeria Labour Congress. Thank you very much indeed for coming on this morning. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go away.